好，各位同事，我哋咧就係6點鐘司法及法律事務委員會咧會議咧，我哋第一次。
So this is the first meeting of the panel on administration of justice and legal services.
主席嘅。
First, we elect chairman for the panel. May I draw attention to ROP 677-6? If you're a member or if you're a chairman or deputy chairman of a related government advisory body, then you cannot be a chairman or deputy chairman of the HLS panel. ROP 777 states that a member shall not be chairman or deputy chairman of more than one panel at the same time. Now, this is the last panel electing a chairman today, and many panels have already elected their chairman and deputy chairman. I've been reminded by the Secretariat. Yes, those already elected chairman or deputy chairman of another panel cannot be nominated here. If I am aware of such cases, I'll remind you not to nominate the same member again, because you may not know too well who have been elected in other panels, but the Secretariat knows full well. And then a dozen or so members have taken part in elections of chairman or deputy chairman of other panels. However, those panels haven't been able to complete the election procedures, so these candidates are not yet duly elected. If you decide to nominate such members here, it's okay, and they can be elected here as well. But whether they would accept the nomination, whether you wish to do so, well, please confirm the wish of these members first. If there are no further questions, we'll start the nomination procedures. A valid nomination should be made orally by one member and seconded by the member with the acceptance of the member concerned. Mr. Kenneth Leung, I nominate Mr. Dennis Kwok. Okay. Any seconder, please? Dr. Fernando Jiang seconds. Mr. Dennis Kwok, do you accept the nomination? Okay. One valid nomination. Any other nominations, please? Mr. Loi Kwok, I nominate Dr. Priscilla Leung. Any seconder? Dr. Elizabeth Quat seconds. Dr. Priscilla Leung, do you accept the nomination? I do, Chairman. Any other nominations, please? I count to 3 and close the nomination. 1, 2, 3. Okay, we've only got 2 nominations. Number 1 is Mr. Dennis Kwok. Number 2, Dr. Priscilla Leung. We're going to hand out the ballot papers, and please choose the candidate you prefer using the chop.
Oh.
For those who have just come in, please be seated first. If you haven't received a ballot paper yet, please raise your hand until you've been given one.
OK。
Okay.
好嗱，我而家問一問先嗱。
May I ask members? For members who are seated and also member of the HLS, if you haven't received a ballot paper, can you give us an indication by raising your hand? No? Then I will count to 5 and we will stop the distribution of ballot papers. 1, 2, oh, we have one more member here. Okay, please put up your hand. I'll count to 5 once again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. We'll cease the distribution of ballot papers. For those who have completed the voting procedures, we will start to collect the ballot papers now. Please put your ballot paper into the box personally. Don't do it through somebody else. And please don't leave your seat before you have put in the ballot paper. The Secretariat told me that we have issued 46 ballot papers. After we have collected all the ballot papers, we invite the 2 nominators to monitor the counting. So get ready, please. Wait. May I ask whether all members who have received ballot papers have put in their ballot papers? If you haven't done so yet, please raise your hands. Anyone? No. Then can Mr. Kenneth Leung and Mr. Lo Wai Kwok come out to monitor the counting, please?
No 先啦嚇 ，OK。好啦，開始啦。
Voting begins. I mean, counting begins.
2號。
Number 2. 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 2, number 1, number 1, number 2, 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 number 1, 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 number 2, number 1, number 1, number 1, number 1, number 1, number 2, number 1, one ballot paperless, one ballot paperless, that doesn't matter.
OK， 嗱，我哋派出咗個選票咧46張。
We have distributed 46 ballot papers and collected 45 papers, where as long as it's less than it's okay. Number 1, Dennis Kwok got 14 votes. Number 2, Priscilla Lau, 31 votes. I declare Priscilla Lau elected as the chairperson. So can Dr. Lau please take over the chair?
首先多謝大家。
First of all, well, thank you for your support. We will now conduct the election for the deputy chairman. A valid nomination has to be made orally by a member and seconded orally by at least one other member. So nominations, please. Mr. Alvin Young. Mr. Dennis Kwok, seconded by Mr. Wu Chi-wai. Other nominations? Mr. Kwok, do you accept the nomination? Yes, I do. Any other nomination? If not, then I declare Mr. Dennis Kwok was elected uncontested as the deputy chairman of the AJLSP. Next, we will be discussing the schedule of meetings for the 2016-17 session. I know that is already past 6. Well, please bear with me for a while. We'll be very quick. Do we agree to the proposed arrangement? And the paper has been tabled before you. We will hold meetings on the 4th Monday of each month at 4:30 p.m. For the December meeting, regular meeting, it should be on 26th of December, but that's a Christmas holiday, so we would advance it by 1 week to the 19th of December. So I hope that you are all agreeable, because that's a holiday. At the meeting on the 19th of December, that would be, the time will be changed to 5:30 p.m. because the room is available only then. And also the last meeting, normally we would schedule it for the last week of July, that is July 2017. But then in that week, a lot of members may not be here in Hong Kong. So I propose for your consideration whether we should advance it by 1 week. We'll try to get a room. We'll ask the clerk to help us out to find a room. And if you are agreeable to that, then I will make that change. So for the meeting in July 2017, let's try to advance the meeting date by 1 week. It seems that you are all agreeable, so if we can identify the meeting venue, then we will notify you, and please mark it on your diary. Next, items for discussion at the next meeting, and also the list of issues suggested to be considered. A number of members, well, they used to be sitting on this same panel in the past session, and there are follow-up matters to be dealt with. And also, on top of the list of issues, we can raise further new items to be discussed. So I'll read out the names who have raised their hands. Raymond Chan, Jeffrey Lam, Holden Chow, Stephen Ho, Elizabeth Quat. Any other member wishing to speak? If not, then I will first ask Mr. Raymond Chan. Thank you, Madam Chair. I hope that you can chase after a figure for me from the Mr. Rinsky Yun. Earlier, Mr. Yun said that the interdepartmental working group on cross-gender issues has been set up, and the consultation paper will be released by the end of this year. I wasn't at the meeting at that time, but he promised that the consultation paper will be released in the 4th quarter. Can you follow up with that? On that? And he promised that he would use this panel as a platform to deal with gender identity issues. Next one, Mr. Jeffrey Lam. I hope that a time can be set aside to discuss the legal aid system in Hong Kong. Many people told me that Hong Kong's legal aid system now is being abused by some people. Recently, there have been refugees applying for legal aid, and they have sort of designated their own lawyers. Will there be collusion or what? So I think we can invite the relevant departments and the officials to discuss the legal aid system. So this is the wish of the public. I understand Mr. Lam's points, and in relation to legal aid system, we've suggested whether more lawyers can be added to the scheme, and the cases can also be more evenly distributed. So that can be included in the agenda. Mr. Stephen Ho, a lot of people of Hong Kong asked me about whether we should review the system to lodge complaints against judges because there is a lack of transparency in the system now. Second is about the future of students. In relation to legal education, PCLL, well, the students are finding it hard to enroll in that course. Well, is that really the case? Can the government give us an answer? This is something that is worth our looking into. Well, these are the subjects we've been following up all along, so we can definitely chase them for the update. Mr. Holden Chow, two things from me. One is a small claims tribunal. It's been dealing with disputes with an amount of less than $50,000. And recently, a lot of people of Hong Kong told me that can we raise the limit to, say, $100,000 because that will help people save litigation costs and the cases can be dealt with more speedily. So this is one thing. Secondly, there is an RXCHE incident. I've studied the matter myself. Well, about mentally incapacitated people appearing before a court, and sometimes a video taping has to be done. But anyway, the person has to be in the court to do the videotaping before the evidence can be really submitted. So how can we protect the disabled so that they will not be aggrieved? So I would like to explore that further. I think this is something worth our studying too. Dr. Elizabeth Quat, Madam Chair, you may recall that we've been following up on how we can protect victims of sex crimes by being harmed again when they appeared in court. And towards the end of the last session, we said that, the administration said that they have some proposals. I think it's time for us to chase them up for the proposals. It's time for the government to come back to tell us how they're going to carry out the reform. Also, I would like to follow up on the issue of non-refoulement claims, because this is a very long-standing problem. It has to be tackled. And also champerty court cases and also abuse of legal aid. I hope that discussion can be held on these as well. And Mr. Holden Chow mentioned about protection of mentally incapacitated person, how they can be protected against harm when they appear in the court, when they give witness in the court. So this is something that the panel must deal with. Yes, very good. These are issues that we have to follow up and chase the government for an update. I myself also would like to raise an item that I would like to follow up on. I've received a number of submissions or comments on this. Some lawyers have been, say, appointed as provisional judges, and still they have to practice. Is it the case that we are short-handed? There is an acute shortage of judges in the courts, and that is and then the barristers have to be made provisional judges for some time, and then at other times they still have to practice as barristers. So this is a concern expressed to me by some of my friends. So I would like that to be included in the list as well. Any further comments? If not, then the next meeting will be held on the 28th of November, 4:30 p.m. and we will be discussing an item on proposed apology legislation. We've been following up on this, and the government will be giving us a final proposal. And the second item to be discussed is the LRC's report on third-party funding for arbitration. These are the two items to be discussed. If you agree to that, we will discuss these. And maybe we'll see how the timing goes. We can add in one more item, which is of concern to members. Members, do you have any other views? If you have other suggestions, please write to the panel, and we have an open mind, and we'll consider them. Well, thank you for staying here until 6:25.